Testing. I'm trying to test out my destroyed voice after having the flu or whatever, bird flu, Ebola virus, whatever I had over the past week. I know I don't sound like my normal self, but we're gonna make do. This is SloMoBackSlap with my homie, my co-host Gaming Forte, and this is DPS Podcast. That's Damage Per Second Podcast, episode 216. We are here on a fine Friday night, feeling real hype. Yeah, I changed it up a little bit because it's Friday. We're going to have a good time tonight. Hope you guys are ready for an awesome show because we got a lot to talk about, a lot to discuss. And you know, in typical DPS fashion, we will spray and pray and everybody can get hit. So without further ado, Gaming Forte, what's up, bro?
What's going on, man? Been a week.
It sure has.
Feel like I haven't done anything but like work all week because I've had one of my old assistant manager, her store got closed, so I was down there.
Oh man!
On both my off days, helping her, close everything up because their last day being out was actually it was today. So Tuesday, Wednesday when I'm normally off, I was doing that, and today it like hit me. I was like, man, I am so tired because I been going pretty much full tilt at work ever since Wednesday last week. So having a chance to sit down and do the podcast is a blessing. I'm happy to be here. A lot of great topics to talk about, and other than that, just playing. Got Monster Hunter installed. Can't wait to play. I actually gonna hook up with a couple of my coworkers.
Where did you get that on?
PC.
Where did you get that on? Oh, PC. you got the worst version, huh?
Yeah, I did. Unfortunately.
yeah, because a PC version. Look, I mean, we're gonna have to at some point. I definitely want to hear your thoughts on it once you be able to play it. Maybe we could do that next week. Or maybe you could do a video, however you want to do it on your thoughts. But I think something needs to be said about RE Engine and RE Engine's capability to do open worlds, because Dragon's Dogma 2 was another one that RE Engine definitely was you depending on who you are, you can chalk it up to devs being inexperienced. You can chalk it up to however you want to, put the blame on it. But here we are, RE Engine is batting 0 for 2 when it comes to live service games. And they just kind of make you wonder if they just not really capable of that engine in this current state, not capable of doing, being able to run in high visual fidelity in an open world. Because I mean, from what I saw of the footage, and I have zero intention of playing Monster Hunter Wild, so I'm not speaking from personal experience, but I am looking at the footage and I'm like, I'm seeing barren deserts, and somehow like you can't maintain 60 FPS with high end machines, and you need frame generation on to run a barren wasteland. Like, what are we doing here? Come on now. So, but my bad. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. Outside of that, looking forward to playing that. And a customer did come. He said, "What system did you buy it on?" I said, "PC." He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, you got the worst version." I was like, "Shut up." It's like, just because consoles win this time, consoles are gonna. That's the funny thing. It seems like longevity, outside of a couple of bad apples like Jedi Survivor and stuff like that, most games, not most games, but there are going to be a couple of W's out there for consoles at the very beginning, because we all know that they, since it's optimized for the most part, because even consoles have problems, it's optimized for a particular piece of hardware that doesn't change. it's a little bit harder to like optimize upfront for PC unless you're building for PC out front. Then you're going to the lower common denominators after the fact. So as a PC gamer, we all understand that. Usually games on PC, if they have bad performance modes or just bad porting and stuff, it usually gets fixed within the first like week or 2 weeks at most. So I'm willing to deal with that. But like you said, it is that RE engine, man. It's like the games are great, but I don't know about that engine.
Yeah, and I don't want to make it a regional thing or blame a certain demographic, but it does seem that some of the worst ports that we see on PC have been ports from Japanese developers, and I just wonder if it's like the lack of being familiar with the kind of hardware and the tools that you need to use, the game development kits, the APIs that you need to use in order to really be successful. There's a lack of experience there, and therefore that's kind of lends to some problematic things. Like for the most part, the 3D high fidelity kind of games that come from the Japanese audience, they tend to have a lot of issues if you're looking into like big hub worlds or big open worlds. If it's more linear, like a Resident Evil, they don't really seem to have those kind of issues. Or if it's a game that's like it's kind of stylized, it's not trying to be hyper realistic, it's not trying to use be a very heavy running game like a Persona. Those games don't really, Metaphor, Refantasia, those games don't have a lot of problems running on PC. So I think there needs to be some and I actually remember Miyazaki from Software talking about this, about getting more engineers in to kind of help From Software deal with those kind of problems as well. And so I kind of hope a lot of the Japanese developers who are making titles that require that level of engineering can, do the same thing, bring some people in to help them get over that hump. Cause, you gotta do that, because like Square Enix with the Final Fantasy, the FF7R games on PC, really games that really shouldn't have no business being difficult to run, not running the best. And, it's just like, you gotta get better than that, gotta get better. Shout out to oh man, we're gonna talk about AMD. We got I see a certain someone in the chat is proudly happy about
today though.
We will discuss. They get a flower. I don't know about flowers. I'm gonna give them a flower.
Oh my god.
We'll get to it. For myself, were you done? Were you done with everything that you've been?
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So for myself, I actually, I'm glad you mentioned Jedi Survivor a little bit earlier, because that's actually something that I started playing again. I wanted to give it another shot simply because I want to beat the game. Like, the game was enjoyable. I like the story. It's just, it runs like complete dog-ish on PC. And so finally, I decided to use my EA Play membership and play on Xbox, where it doesn't look as good as it does on PC, but I don't have the crazy stutter fest that occurs with that game on PC, and it's still broken on PC. And so I did like the first part, like the prologue part. Pretty good. I've completely forgot how strong the game started out. And so I intend on hopefully beating that before Exhibition 33 comes out, which I think is April. I got a few games to kind of take care of. I did beat another game over the past week. I beat Avowed last Monday. I beat Avowed in just under 38 hours. I'll say it like this about Avowed, and it kind of, I want people to understand how I feel about Obsidian when I say these things. Is that Obsidian is a quality developer, and I have a lot of respect for the work that they've done, and I look forward to their games.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't know where Obsidian came from. Obsidian kind of was born from the same Western RPG family tree that Bethesda and Exile and BioWare came from. I mean, they're like sister studios. And when it comes to, I remember back in the day, shout out to my homie Dub, because me and my homie Dub used to argue like back and forth back in like maybe like 2010, 2011. You know, I was a big BioWare fan. He's a big Bethesda fan. And if you played those two RPGs, you recognize they're both Western RPGs, but the difference between the two is that BioWare is far more focused on grand set pieces, great story arcs, great lore, great worlds, amazing characters, story beats that you'll never forget. Like, those are the things that they focus on, and not so much the things that Bethesda focuses on, like exploration, side quests that are as big or bigger than the main quest. Really creating an expansive world that people can get lost in. You know, those are things that Bethesda excelled at that BioWare didn't quite care for. And I say those things to talk about, yes, Arcade, I'm not quite sick anymore, but I am, my voice isn't back yet. So, you know, sorry about that. I say all those things about BioWare and Obsidian, and Bethesda to bring it back to Obsidian. Obsidian was like the balance between the two. You know, they were better storytellers than Bethesda, and they would focus on having great companions, with you know, layers that you would get from BioWare, but you got more exploration from them. You know, that you got more of what Bethesda would do than from them than you would get from BioWare. And it's like they were are a quality studio. That said, I was somewhat disappointed in Avowed's story, because when I play a Obsidian RPG, I am expecting a level of quality in the story that I didn't get from Avowed. In Avowed, I had figured out what the story was going to be, and like from beginning to end, how it went, all of it, like 5-6 hours in. I had already got it figured out, and I'm like, I really hope this ain't it, because if this is it, like this isn't like the level of like a Knights of the Old Republic 2, where you come to find out a companion in your crew have been using you the entire time. You know, subverting expectations, surprises, plot twists. There's none of that really in Avowed, unless you're like 10 years old and you've never played a video game before, or you've never seen a fantasy story before, and you just somehow like never realized that this is the kind of, you know, this is the kind of stuff you get in these kind of games. But it wasn't anything special, and I was disappointed in that. I expected more. That said, I think the combat is extremely good. I think the visuals are very good, and I enjoy playing in third person. I play exclusively in third person. I'm running a second playthrough right now. My first playthrough was a mage focused. I had a grimoire in one hand and a wand in the other. I kind of feel like I should have tested out double wands just to see what that would be like. But that was once I got like my build fleshed out, maybe in like at the third area, like halfway through the game, I was just steamrolling everything. Mm-hmm. Right now, on my second build, I am using, this is what the Jumbotron is showing. I'm using a flaming sword and a shield. And for the most part, it's easier. It's actually easier than being a ranged magic user and I'm bodying everything. So it's just, I may want to bump up the difficulty a little bit further, cause, having it where I have it right now just it's a little easy. But that said, with this playthrough, what I do appreciate from Obsidian is the choices, like, and how you want to go about things, that wasn't present with Dragon Age the Veilguard, is present here. In my first playthrough, I was very much a person for the people, and I try to look out for the people as much as possible. With this second playthrough, I'm all about the Audrey Empire, whatever you want to call them, and I'm like, man, whatever the Empire needs is what I'm doing, and it doesn't, and if that means I'm killing people, I'm letting people die, then so be it. It is what it is, and it's kind of funny, but I think it's a quality game. I think it's a good RPG, but not a great RPG. And that's why I kind of feel where its current Metacritic score is of like an 80 is pretty fair, mm-hmm. because as good as it is, or at the bare minimum decent in all areas, there's room for improvement that I wish was there. Having on the A or for those who use a different controller, X button be jump and dash a mistake. Mm-hmm. That's just not smart for a game with action, the kind of action combat that you have in this. And so it's to not get too bogged down with it. I enjoyed my time with it. It's a good game. I wouldn't say it should be game of the year contender potential, although if you do have it as your personal game of the year so far, or if you do later on in the year, we all have preferences. I just don't think I don't think anybody should be crying foul or shocked in awe or upset when we get to the end of the year and this isn't a game of the year nominee. Right. Anything you want to say, Val, before I talk about my other thing I've been playing?
No, I mean, I agree. Like I said, I always felt like the score is kind of right where it needs to be. I know you dive a little bit deeper into the overall story because you've been playing like the Obsidian games for a lot longer than I have. I love the combat. Like I said, I like the choice that they give you in the game, but it is very predictable where the game's going to go story wise. In the first act is like very early on, you kind of see where it's heading and everything. So doesn't change the fact that I still think it's a really great game. But like you said, when you're used to that level of polish when it comes to the storytelling aspect of it, and you feel like it's not that it's lacking, but it just isn't up to the standard that they usually have in a lot of their games, then I can see where you are coming from when it comes to that.
I mean, I enjoyed the Outer World story more than the Avowed story. I've enjoyed Pentiment's stories, fantastic. Enjoyed Pentiment's story more. South Park Stick of Truth. Just basically, and this isn't like to say it's bad, right, but I would say this is probably the weakest story that they've had in any of their games. But they've had very good stories, so it is not saying it's a terrible story. It's just not on par with what they've done before.
Right.
What else here? Yeah, playing more Call of Duty. Been play some with you last night. And yeah, I'm kind of in my bag right now. I mean, I don't mean to brag or nothing, and I'm not trying to, but this might be this current Prestige I'm on Prestige 7. I'm styling on them. This is the best I've been playing, and I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I haven't really been trying to level up weapons.
Yeah, that
I've been using my very best loadouts. Everyone else you playing against is using their best weapons anyway, right? You see the same weapons all the time. I'm out here trying to level up trash guns that suck, and I've been doing that for like a good, for the first 5 prestiges. Now I'm just, I've leveled up everything I want to level up, except for the new guns that comes in the new battle pass. I just got the first one of those, and I already don't like the SMG. But I'm just, look, man, I've been averaging like over like I've been averaging like a lot of kills. I mean, I'm not gonna try to get into all the statistics and everything, but I've been doing my thing, so it's been a good time. Whether playing with you, playing with my boy Numpsy, shout out to Numpsy and Jones, or Taz and Flux and Angel Flux and all them. Whether I'm playing with them or I'm playing by myself, just been having a good time. So I got the Ninja Turtles. As I said last week, I was only buying Leonardo, and that's all I bought. Cause ain't no way you getting me for $90 for some Ninja Turtles. I'm good.
And all I bought was Donatello, and that's all I was gonna buy.
Right. You could have got more out of me if you were a bit more reasonable with the pricing, Activision. Anyway, and since I was talking about first-person shooters, Splitgate 2's alpha got started yesterday, and I played. I didn't get a chance to play yesterday, but I did play some today, and I feel like there is some tweaking I might need to do with my controller settings. I don't know what they did because I played their technical test 2 weeks ago, a week ago. I can't remember what it was, but everything was great then. No issues. And then I started playing today, and I just kind of noticed with some of the same weapons, a lack of being able to stay on target for me, which I wasn't there, and they kept my settings from the technical test. So I want to just kind of play around with it, do some testing on my own, and find the right sweet spot for me. But I want to play a little bit more of it this weekend because I was enjoying it. I think they made some good choices with the movement improvements over the first game. I think the maps are pretty good, and I just think they might want to work on the modes a little bit more. But they got some time. It should be coming out this year, but they got a little bit more time before, to kind of work those things out before they go live. So hopefully it works out. And I intend on beating Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on PC and Mass Effect 1 before South of Midnight comes out. So that's the goal. I want to beat both of those before South of Midnight comes out, so I can get those off of out of the way, and then at some point I will start streaming Mass Effect 2 on the channel. So look out for that once I finish Mass Effect 1. And I think that's all I got. Anything you want to say before we start rapid firing these topics, man?
Oh, let's do it, man.
All right. So this one's it's a gaming topic, but not totally. And I say that because George R.R. Martin, the creator of Game of Thrones, he also wrote the lore of Elden Ring for From Software, is saying that there is talk of an Elden Ring movie in the works. Right. And so, of course, Martin is talking about something that isn't him finishing them damn books, right? Which he never will finish. And I've been saying that since 2012, that he's never going to finish those books. And yeah, I've been proven right ever since. But my question to you, Forte, is what would you want to see from an Elden Ring movie? Would you want to see, and I know you didn't quite really get deep into like the game, but would you want to see a retelling of the story in the game? Kind of like the way HBO is doing a retelling of the story of The Last of Us. On with the TV show. It is basically just going through the game. Would you want that, or would you want it to do a story that's based on the lore of the lands between? And it's got some great lore. Like George R. Martin is a talented dude, despite being lazy as all get out. He's very talented, and he did a great job with the lore in Elden Ring. Would you want something focused on that, or something just retells the actual story of the game?
No, I want them to go to the one thing, especially if you're a person that's just getting into it. A lot of people, especially I feel like people already played the game. So, or
a lot
like
of people.
A lot of people played the game. Like over 20 million people played the game. I feel like if you want to do a service to those people, telling the story that led up into what the game is, it should be where they start at, because it's easy to like start at the beginning, and then if the show does well, then you add on, and then you lead into what the game is, and then you can start telling stories about what's to come inside the Elden Ring. You already see what they're doing with DLC and everything like that. So it's just, in my opinion, I feel like getting people excited for something that they don't know is more, I think, more of a better way to go about it. And then, because they already know, like most people already know what the story is about. I mean, some people don't even think Elden Ring has a story. But like you said,
There's the people who don't pay attention. Exactly. It has a story.
It has one. Yeah. May not be the best, but they have one. But that's also
right.
Another way. But that's also another way that I feel like they can actually enhance the lore of the story by starting from the beginning and kind of making sense of everything, because it's a lot easier, I feel like, to, you know, build an adaptation of something through TV or movies, and then you bring that to a video game for us. It normally doesn't work the best the other way around. That's why video games turning into movies haven't worked as much. But I feel like if they start from the beginning, they can actually bridge that gap, because there's a lot of people that were really truly interested in that game, and then it would get people interested in DLC and follow-up sequels to that game as they come out over the course of years or generations.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want a retelling of the game. What I would love to see is a lot of the lore, especially with like the demigods, America's children, all of that very much is like a Game of Thrones kind of thing, where it's like there's a lot of backstabbing, there's a lot of politicking and stuff going on, and people love that stuff. It's very entertaining.
Right.
I would love to see a lot of what happened to the lands between and what it turned into, so that when your character gets into the game, you could probably watch the TV series and then jump into the game and have a full understanding of the things that were mysteries to us when we first started playing the game. I think that would be dope. To kind of see America switching to Radagon and seducing Queen Renala and all that stuff. Like all that stuff is when you get into the lore, you're like, damn, that was actually pretty good. That's actually a pretty good story. Underneath it, all the really weird dialogue and very unappealing way that the story is presented to you, during you playing the game. And I can just imagine if, especially considering Martin has a huge, in with HBO, that HBO will be willing to take this on. And you think about the kind of budgets that HBO puts in, like they could really do it justice, like really create a world that looks like the way the Lands Between looks,
Mm-hmm.
Really put a budget behind it. So I think that would be the best way to go about it. Hopefully it works out. And I hope if they're not willing to do it justice, that it don't happen, because I don't really need to see yet another whack video game adaptation. So yeah.
Nope. Pleasure.
Anything else you want to say before we move on?
Move on.
Persona 4 remake could be in development as a singer. I'm about to butcher this name. Shihoko Hirata. I think I got that right. Shiroko. I should have repeated it because now I messed it up. Shihoko Hirata, known for Persona 4, revealed she's recording for an unannounced title, and she kind of revealed some photos of herself in a recording studio in Tokyo. And people have recognized that that's the same recording studio that was seen in a documentary for Persona 5 Strikers. So people kind of putting the two together and thinking, oh, the unannounced title may be a Persona game. Now, why they think it's Persona 4 remake and not Persona 6? No idea. But more than likely it's a Persona title. So, Forte, what are your thoughts on that?
Which one is it? A remake of which one?
Persona 4 Golden.
Golden. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it was Golden.
Yeah.
No,
I enjoyed that one.
Yeah.
Even though the dungeons or the whatever you want to call them were extremely redundant and annoying. But I enjoyed that one a lot.
Did you? So I didn't play that one. Do you? Do you go to school?
Yes, you do.
Oh my God.
But this one's more of a grand mystery. Okay. There's a killer out there, and you and your little Scooby-Doo crew are trying to figure out who this killer is, and it still deals with souls and personas, and it's the typical Atlas game design that you get from Persona 3 Reload, Persona 5. It's the same thing. Shin Megami Tensei, not as advanced as Metaphor, because Metaphor is the newer thing. But it's the same deal. I think Persona 4 could really use a remake, because if you play it right now, you see just how dated everything is, to level design, to just visuals. Everything looks extremely dated. And considering what they did with 3 Reload, where they even had a little light ray tracing in there, and I just really love the aesthetic. Especially with the UI, they're always been very you can tell which Persona game it is based off the UI alone. Mm-hmm. Like the style of it, the kind of color themes they use. It's they have a certain flair to their games that I've always enjoyed, and I would love to see kind of how they revamp for a remake. I also would just love to see a 6 already, because I feel like they have milked the hell out of 5. So I would just love to cut. Yeah, there's like Persona 5 Strikers, Persona 5 Tactica. I think there's a dance one. It's a lot, man. We need to move on from 5. Those characters are dope, but come on, let's keep it moving. So, I hope it's 6 more than 4 remake, but I will get by a 4 remake anyway. So, I'm there regardless. Anyway, we move on. Rapid fire. PlayStation's PSVR 2 gets a price drop down to $399.
Still not low enough.
Yeah, you know what the question I was about to ask. Is this low enough to garner interest, or are they just trying to unload inventory they can't get rid of?
So the funny thing is, it's interesting because during Christmas, it was $349. So it's actually not even at the lowest price it was at, because during
but that was a temporary price drop.
Yeah,
this is a permanent price drop.
Yeah, but still, that temporary price drop was for like a whole month and a half though. So it wasn't like that was a price drop. Like I always felt like and I actually sold more during that. I mean, of course, because it was people. They kind of bit people's arm. It was like, hey, if you're gonna buy this thing, buy it now. Why it's $200 off, basically, because it was $200 off of the base one, and then $250 off the bundle that came with Horizon. So I had people coming in, buying it, and getting the PC adapter because they wanted to use it on PC. Because there's nothing wrong. And
I'm glad you brought that up. Because Arcade in the chat, he said it can be used on PC now. He thinks it's good. The problem is that all the features that come with it on PlayStation 5 are not available to you if you use it on PC.
Right.
So it's a GIMP version of the PSVR 2 on PC, and I don't think it matches up to a MetaQuest 3. If you're like, I don't know how much the MetaQuest 3 costs, but a GIMP version of PSVR 2, you might as well just get yourself a MetaQuest 3 and call it a day, because that's getting way more support than what PSVR 2 is getting. Yeah, I mean, I just think, like, if that's what you want to do, you should do that. If it was $100 cheaper, I could see somebody saying, I'll get that for $300.
Yeah,
but still at $400.
Yeah, that's the thing. Just for me, it's like, I think, and this is how consumers think. Once you see a lower price on something, you'll just say it will get back to that price at some point, because that's telling us that you're willing to drop it at that price. I'm not going to say on a consistent basis, but that's the lowest you are willing to bear. So I feel like this is just a starting price drop. Like, maybe it would only last.
The MetaQuest 3 is currently $500. So this would be $300 cheaper than the MetaQuest 3.
Dude, it's let. Dude, people are getting the Quest 3S, which is $299.
Yeah.
So it's like, I always felt like the PSVR was stuck in a rock and a hard place, mostly due to the fact that they didn't release this thing on PC day one. I felt like it probably would have got better adopted, because it's a really good headset. Like, it has really good technology. At the time when it came out, it was definitely better than MetaQuest 2s. So if you
what is a 3S? So Arcade in the chat says 3S is $300. What is? Yeah, I guess what is the difference between the two?
The 3S just has less. It's not the tracking on it. Like the regular 3 is like the top tier version outside of going to the MetaQuest Pro.
Right.
You still get the same
controller. Shout out to our homie Agent Deli.
I have a Pro.
You have a Pro. He has a Pro too. He said the Pro sucks.
It does suck compared to the 3S. It does.
Wow.
It does.
Wow. Isn't that thing like $1,500?
It was 15. It's 1,000. It's like 1,000 now. But the biggest
difference.
Still,
the MetaQuest, you said it sucks compared to the 3S. The 3S is $300.
Well, no, not the 3S. Sorry, the 3, the regular 3.
That's still half the price.
Still half the price. No, I agree, and that's why they
get that crap out of here, yo.
This is the problem. The Pro has better controller. A better controller. It has better tracking when it comes to the controller. Now, the 3S, not the 3S, the 3 has the same pancake lenses as the Pro does now. And it has faster refresh rates inside of them.
What about the 3S?
The 3S is just less. It doesn't have as fast of processing as the 3S.
Can you watch Netflix on a 3S?
Yes, you can watch Netflix on any of them.
Well, then you know what? I'm adding the 3S to my Best Buy cart. I might jump on that sometime soon. I don't know, man.
The 3S is nice, man. For $299.
And if you remember though, I am such a pay pig, because I had a MetaQuest 2 and I sold it. And I had a Steam Deck.
I do.
And I sold that.
You sold it. You know,
and multiple times I have looked at potentially getting a Steam Deck again, and I could have just kept it. And I, I kind of wish I had sometimes I kind of wish I had a VR just to like watch movies on it. I don't even want to play games on it. I just want to watch movies on it. Because like when I had my Quest 2, I like the games didn't really appeal to me. I was doing stuff like doing the whole movie studio app and then watching Netflix. Like I'm inside the studio. I can sound like I'm sitting in a movie theater chair and I'm in a movie theater watching my Netflix. I love the other like accessories and apps around it, but the gaming stuff has just always been like demo kind of experiences as far as I'm concerned that I just don't think are all that good.
Yeah. Listen to you say that, I'm starting to think you are like like this side of the community's version of Hard 8, because he always selling everything just like you do.
I don't sell everything.
You sell quite a bit of stuff, bro.
You
sold your VR, you sold your Steam Deck, you sold your Switch, you sold a lot of stuff.
Glintstone says, "Why not get X Real AR glasses?" Well, let me look those up.
Now, don't give him ideas. That'd be a whole nother thing he gonna trade in when he don't like it.
I just want to see what they do. Let me just see what they do. Ooh, I like the way that looks. That looks dope. Ooh. Okay. Hold on now. See, this is the kind of stuff. I mean, it's a little big, but it looked like shades. And you know how I always say, like VR and this kind of stuff is never going to take off when you got some bulky, goofy looking thing on your head. Like you can't walk out in public with that on your head and not expect to be laughed at, right? But you can walk out in public with these X Real glasses and just be just fine. Cause like people might just say, yo, why are your shades so big? But they still think they shades. They don't realize, you in augmented reality, right? And like a ogre is slapping that person that's talking to you upside their head, and they don't even know what's happening.
You say
that's crazy.
You upside your head. Oh my god.
That's just $500.
Yes.
Okay, I need to. I apologize for the distracting the stream. Further, let me just I will look into those things later on. Anyway, rapid fire. All right, AMD reveals finally the 9070 and 9070 XT will be $549 and $599. They are releasing in March. Which is very soon. We should be having independent reviews out for both of these GPUs very soon. Did AMD do good with the pricing this time around, Forte?
Do you remember the 7900 GRE that they had that was mostly exclusive for 1440p gaming that they released last generation? That graphics card was really, really good for the price of performance that it was giving you. I feel like they knocked that dog. I feel like they finally took the layup that was given to them by NVIDIA. Yes, because
NVIDIA has been screwing up. NVIDIA has had the triple entendre of stupidity in the past, since 2025. They have have released a product that is not living up to its level of performance. The ROPs are not there in a good number of the units that are being purchased. They do not have supply, so they have a paper launch, which is a big no-no as far as like really getting people to respect you. And the prices are ridiculous as usual, but this is also somewhat AMD's fault because AMD has not been good competition. And why hasn't AMD been good competition? Because mostly due to their stupid pricing for their lesser brand product. And they seem to have finally gotten the hint that you're not NVIDIA and you can't just go $50 cheaper and expect people to take you seriously. And so that said, when we look at these GPUs, right? So we got the 9070, which is also kind of a little smart on their part. They're using the same pricing structure, model structure for names as NVIDIA. So maybe they might confuse some dumb idiot who thinks they're buying a NVIDIA 9070 instead of buying AMD. And then they realize, oh man, this is actually pretty good, you know? So like, hey, little subterfuge here and there. Anyway, the 9070, I think is not as good of a, I think they made a mistake with the price on that one. And I'll get to that in a moment. The 9070 XT, based upon what, and we don't have verified benchmarks yet, we will have those soon. But I think based upon what the things that we've seen of certain games here and there and certain tests here and there, it looks like it is in between a 4070 Ti Super and a 4080. And that level of performance for $599 is a very good price, especially considering that all the 4000 series cards are no longer being sold. Considering that the 5000 series cards can't be found, and if that card, that 9070 XT, is going to get compared to a 5070 Ti that at MSRP is $750, but you can't find them at MSRP because they're barely available. And when you do find them, they're around $900. So really, if AMD has the supply and if their product lives up to what they are claiming it would do, you have a very comparable GPU that's $300 cheaper than your competition. That's very good. I think that's excellent. And I think those things will fly off the shelves, especially even, with people who, let's say your GPU craps out on you and you need a new GPU and you're a team green, you're all NVIDIA. You got NVIDIA t-shirts. You walk around with leather jackets like you're Jensen from NVIDIA in 90-degree weather like a moron. Like you love NVIDIA. But ain't no NVIDIA GPUs around, so what you gonna do? Like you gonna get yourself an AMD GPU that's comparable, and you might keep it, So I think that's smart on their part. What's not smart is having a clearly lesser 9070 compared to your own 9070 Ti XT. That's only $50 cheaper. That's not smart, because if I'm in the market, even if I'm thinking I want the cheaper one because I'm cheap, it's only $50 more to get the other one. And you're literally priced the 9070 the same price as NVIDIA's 5070, which is exactly the problem you always had. Because if you on par or just $50 cheaper, people are just gonna buy the better brand. It's bad. They should have made it $499, and maybe they do eventually do that because AMD is far more bendable when it comes to dropping prices when they need to, flexible when dropping prices. So maybe they will eventually do that, but AMD's on the right track. You know, that 9070 XT, I think, is going to fly off the shelves. That 9070, though, that 9070, if NVIDIA gets their supply issue straightened out, they better have that 9070 at $499 when that happens. Because if not, you're going to be in trouble.
Definitely going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Anything else you want to say on this? Flood says, sounds like SloMo is talking about himself. I am not an NVIDIA fanboy. I have owned an Intel GPU. I owned the Intel Arc GPU. That was garbage when at the time when I bought it because the drivers didn't work for like 90% of the games out there. I have owned AMD. I have an AMD GPU on my son's PC right now. I am not team anything, unlike Mr. Floodzilla in the chat, who literally has a poster of Lisa Sue on his wall.
Hey, that's Lisa Sue, bro.
Yeah, Lisa Sue. That's a terrible poster. Anyway, Forte, what are your thoughts on this?
No, I'm just happy that AMD finally decided to come to the table and wake up. It's like
right.
That's all. I mean, because NVIDIA basically was winning off of just name alone. Because let's be for real, it's like NVIDIA is like the Nike of graphics cards, and then AMD is like Reeboks. Or maybe Adidas. I'll give them Adidas. Maybe they're Adidas. But they act like they was Reebok though. Remember the last time Reebok was super relevant? When AI was wearing the answers and the questions. That's the last time Reebok was relevant. And that's kind of what's been going on with AMD. Now, I know we got certain individuals in the chat that's definitely happy about this news, and I was too. I watched like 3 or 4 different videos. Shout out to J2 Cents and Hardware Unbox, and I checked out Gamer Nexus, and everybody is like really, really like very happy with this. Now, is it competing on the high end, like 5090? You're not getting that because AMD said a long time ago that they're not doing that. But you don't have to compete at that level. All you got to do is, if you can compete around that 5070 Ti to 50, like probably like the 5080, that $1,000 price point and under, you're winning. And then AMD has always had, except for that 1 year where they just lost their mind and wanted to charge people too much money like they were NVIDIA. But the last AMD card I've owned was the 7970. That was the dual GPU, if I remember right. Yeah, that was the last one I actually had with AMD. I used to be all AMD everything, motherboard, graphics cards, everything, CPU. But it just really comes back to competition, and I feel like NVIDIA is just out here telling people that there's no real competition. And if you want the best,
they act like they don't have any real competition.
Exactly. Yeah. So for me, this is just a breath of fresh air, and let's just hope that they continue to keep doing that. And once we start seeing like the updates and stuff, some of these newer games that start coming out and seeing how FSR and everything is going to perform with those games. I just want to see more developers partner with AMD, because I also think that's part of it. AMD has kind of just lived off of the fact that they are the go-to platform for consoles when it comes to Xbox and Microsoft, Xbox and PlayStation. So I think they kind of just rested on their laurels when it came to that. But there's a lot of like more and more people are flipping the PC every day. So that is an open market for you to be able to convince people that you can buy in. And if anybody can do it, it's AMD, because I feel like they always had the consumer in mind when it came to price and performance. So if anybody can build a console that can compete with high-end, build a PC that competes with a high-end console, AMD can definitely do that, because we already know NVIDIA is going to try to price you out of it. So that's kind of how I feel about it. I'm just happy to see that there's actually some movement and that they actually have a post Let's just hope that it keeps up in the rest of their iterations throughout the rest of this generation.
Yeah, I just hope that what AMD doesn't do, because apparently a lot of people who have sources at AMD were saying that the reason why they didn't reveal this at CES, which is back in January, is because they didn't really know what they wanted to do with pricing.
Okay.
And they didn't, and they were, they saw what Nvidia chose to do, and they got some cold feet, and they were a little concerned. And even as late in the game as Gamer Nexus's video on Monday, where they were telling they were begging AMD not to be stupid and to make these products cheaper. Right. They were still undecided on what they were going to do. And so when you have that much division among your leadership on what to do with your pricing philosophy for your product line, I wonder if in the future, if this is successful, if you don't get dumb again.
Right.
Because it's not like, if this is a long-term strategic goal. When you understand that you have a weaker brand than your competition, you need to make some concessions that come with that. And those concessions, they're starting to do them now, but you're not going to alleviate that in one GPU generation. You're not going to get like a good seller with the 9070 XT. And now next time when you come out with UDNA, which is their next thing, now we're going to be on par with price with Nvidia. No, pump your brakes. That's that dumb stuff.
Right.
So you're being dumb again. Don't do that, because all you're going to do is get yourself back in the same situation you were in before. You were literally, there is a monopoly in the GPU market. Mm-hmm. And that monopoly, like 80 to 85% of the market is owned by Nvidia. In comparison, PlayStation and Nintendo don't got it like that. Nobody in the gaming like industry overall has the kind of like market share dominance that Nvidia enjoys right now. So like, you got to get yourself together and do this for the long haul. You'll know when you can price your products on the same level, and it's when you look at market share and you're close to even.
True.
And it doesn't, and people care about the software that you put forward just as much as they care about the software that Nvidia puts forward. And that's when you can then say, all right, we can be on the same level as them. Right. Until then, you got a long way to go and a lot of work to do. So get to it. Anything else you want to say on this before we get into the main proper topics?
Nope, that's it.
All right. Excuse me, had to get that one out. Topic number one on the docket here. Fable. Now, Fable was delayed, and it was kind of like an unofficial thing that it was supposed to come out this year.
Right.
But it has now been delayed, officially delayed to 2026. And this was announced by Craig Duncan, who now is the head of Xbox Game Studios. He used to be the studio head of Rare. He took over this role when Matt Booty got promoted. And he says Fable's going to be delayed to 2026. Playground Games, the developer of Fable, has also spoke on it. They said their reasoning for this, whether people choose to believe it or not, and we can get into that, was that the game needs more time and needs more polish to be ready. Known leaker Nate the Hate has, and I think there's been some misinterpretations of things that he said, but Nate the Hate has speculated that the reason could be that they want Fable to launch day and date on PS5 as it would on Xbox and PC. But let's we can discuss that in a moment.
Okay.
My first question to you, Forte, is, and I'm showing in the Jumbotron the footage that the Xbox podcast showed. This is pre-alpha gameplay that the Xbox podcast showed with Tina Amini and Craig Duncan were talking. How do you think Fable looks?
You talk about the actual gameplay that they showed?
Yeah, the gameplay you're seeing now. How do you think it looks?
Oh, the gameplay looks, because I wasn't.
You haven't seen the gameplay yet?
You talking about, did they show new gameplay?
Good grief! Yes, man.
I told you I've been at work all week. I'm looking at the Jumbotron now.
No, okay. Well,
I think it looks. Wait a minute! Wow.
Oh man,
I'm taking it in as we looking at it now. I don't think it looks that bad. It doesn't look like what. Listen, now that part where she's walking through. So so this is the thing I'm looking at, seeing it for the first time. A lot of the stuff that they shown in the original reveals, like, especially where they were doing the when she was like the Honey I Shrunk the Kids parts and stuff like that, when they were showing like the different cutscenes. It seems like a lot of that was actually, like they said, it was in game, and this looks pretty close to what we saw then. I mean, of course, it's not all close up, and you can see some of the, like, he just threw the fireball and everything like that. I think it looks good. I don't think it's polished that they need for the game. It's why they delaying
it. I do think it's polished.
You do? Okay.
I'll say this. A little birdie told me it was polished.
Okay.
That the game is not necessarily rough, but it's not quite in a finished state, and they would have to really, really crunch to get it ready to go this year.
What part of the game is the thing that is being polished? Is it the gameplay being
combat?
Polished? Okay, yeah,
combat gameplay.
Well,
yes,
if that's the case, because like just looking at it, it doesn't look like, and that's another thing people kind of look
visually
at.
It looks fantastic, right?
Visually
it looks amazing. It looks better than Avowed, which is out now. Like it looks better than 90% of the games visually that you see on the market.
Right.
And the combat itself doesn't look bad. It just looks somewhat stiff at times. And there's no HUD. They turned the HUD off, so
we
don't know what the HUD looks like. But
basically,
I think visually they kind of fixed the girl's face, because her face looks a little better than it did when they first showed her. I don't see the simps and the weirdos and the incels complaining about her face anymore. Visually, I think it looks really, really good.
Yeah.
there's a lot there that needs to get worked on. There are things that are like Fable centric kind of things that need to be there. For example, in Fable, depending on your actions, if you start to act real like nice, you may start to see a little halo appear above your head. If you start, and that's kind of based upon your actions and how you handle things. If you out here just doing everybody grimy, you might start to see some physical manifestations of your evil, dark heart, showing. And I kind of hope that those kind of like Fable centric things continue with this one. I think that's a stable, a unique nature of what Fable does.
But
then this is
good.
Yeah.
I like the lighting, like inside the cave in the cavern. That looks really good.
Yeah. And I would say this is what you get when you kind of do a new genre correctly. and I know we haven't played it yet, so I may be speaking out of turn by saying this, but it looks good. And I think it looks good because they didn't take their Forza Horizon team and say, hey, go make an action RPG. They went and built a whole new studio, hired people who've done these kind of games before, and just said, let's take the level, the approach that we have at building games and that has done us well with Forza Horizon series and had those games be so successful, and move that same mindset over towards a new kind of game, a new genre for us with people who know what they're doing. And I think this is why you're getting what you're getting. All that said, I think, Fable is an action RPG.
Yep.
But it's still an RPG. And so you need to have a lot of systems in play that are RPG systems. And in developing those systems, that may take some time to make sure that they're balanced well, to make sure it's done correctly, efficiently. That may take some time. And maybe some of those things are things that still need to be fleshed out. Maybe the story content, side quest stuff that still need to be fleshed out, that they may have the main story done from beginning to end. But if that's all they got, that's a pretty shallow game. To get a good dearth of content throughout, the entire game, you gotta, do more there. And so there's a lot that can really go into it, but I have it on good authority that the game is not being delayed because it's trying to be day and date with PS5. It may end up being day and date on PS5 anyway, because I believe personally, this is just my personal opinion, you don't have to believe it.
Okay.
But I believe personally, everything that's Xbox first party in 2026 will also be available day and date on PlayStation. That's my personal belief. So just by the sheer fact the game's not ready and it needs to be delayed into 2026, coincidentally means it will be on PS5 day and date. But that's not like the main reason. It's more of a incidental thing. Because of the main reason, this is going to be the also end result as well, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with that.
Cool. Anything else you want to say on this before we move on?
No, man, this looks really good though. Really good.
Yeah. I do wish though. I do wish that it was coming out this year. I wish I could play this now. I am a fan of the series. My favorite is Fable 2. And I really wish I could be playing this sometime this year, but it is what it is. I'll never really complain about a game being delayed, because the game, typically the game you get after the delay is a better game that you would have got if it wasn't never delayed. So I'll take the better game over, getting a chance to play it earlier.
Right.
But if even though I don't believe this, but if it was true that they were delaying it so that it could be on PS5 day and date, I've been highly upset about that. Me being a PC gamer that would have played this day one on PC, I do not care. Like, you may not like this, but I don't care about them PlayStation gamers. I am a selfish person.
I don't care either.
They can play the game when it's available for them. If the game is ready, release the game. Thank you. Kindly.
Yep.
Don't be waiting to put it on some other platform for some people that I don't care about. I don't care about y'all. I care about me. I want to play it. So, yeah. Anywho, WB Games. Oh, man, WB Games. WB just... They are probably the one publisher in this industry that actually has the least clue of what they're doing. Like the most minuscule of a clue of what they're doing out here. Like, remember when they were talking that talk like, yeah, you know, all we trying to do is make live service games. Meanwhile, the only good games they've ever made have been single player games. Meanwhile, the talent, the collection of talent you have in your studios are good at making single player games. Meanwhile, you literally had just had Hogwarts Legacy, which came out of nowhere and became the most sold game of 2023. You still gonna open your mouth after failing with Suicide Squad and Gotham Knights and say we're gonna try to do more live service multiplayer games. Like, are you stupid? Cause you sound stupid. And yeah, I think they stupid. Because when I start telling you all the details of what WB Games has done, it may get a little bit of a headache. So here we go. Story was broken by Jason Schreier at Bloomberg. Jason Schreier, and this story was also confirmed by WB Games. And they said going forward, they will focus on Harry Potter, Mortal Kombat, Game of Thrones, and DC IPs. I will acknowledge Mortal Kombat is highly successful, and that is not single player. So that's their one. That's their one. But according to Jason Schreier, Monolith is being shut down. Monolith Productions is being shut down. They were working on a Wonder Woman game, which has also been canceled. Multiple other studios also have been shut down. Their names, I didn't write those down. Y'all don't care about them anyway, so let's just be honest. Monolith, after Shadow of War, which was received very well, and Shadow of Mordor, and the Nemesis system that was used in both, that was fantastic. Everyone loved it, and WB Games decided to freaking patent it so no one else could use it, which now means it will never be used ever again. Thanks, WB. Monolith chose not to make another Lord of the Rings game after Shadow of War. They tried to develop an original IP, but that was canceled in 2021. Now, Jason Schreier continues on to say that all of Monolith Productions leadership left the studio after the original IP was canceled, many of which are now working for the studio that is making that Marvel 1942 game. What I think Amy Hennig is attached to that. It's being published by EA. So a lot of them are working on that project now. So what Monolith currently was kind of a shell of his former self. They were trying to make this Wonder Woman game, which had to be rebooted after they realized that everybody they had there didn't know how to use the proprietary game engine that Monolith had made in the Nemesis system. None of them really knew how to use that because all the people who had created it and used it in the previous games didn't work there no more.
Right.
Gotta love it, right? And they were dealing with a unstable situation of new leadership there at Monolith while they were trying to get all this figured out. So that's that. For the studios that are still at WB and still working on things, WB Montreal is currently pitching a Game of Thrones game. Rocksteady, who also is in a similar position with leadership that has left, a lot of devs and talent that have left since their height of their time with the Batman Arkham games. Rocksteady is now working on a new Batman game. So I say all this to say, after all that, Forte, what are your thoughts on WB Games and all that has been revealed this week?
It's sad, man, especially since Monolith got all tied up into this. It's unfortunate because they are owned by them, but for the most part, people just don't understand that when it comes to game development, you're only as good as the last thing you released, and they just haven't got a chance to put anything else out. They've been working on they've been like helping other studios work on so many different things. I just feel like they just kind of got lost in the shuffle a little bit. But for the most part, you know, the nemesis system is something that a lot of people are very very liked a lot, and the fact that it is basically gone forever unless they either license out the rights to it or something, which is something they can do. But it was very, very innovative for its time. A lot of people look back at it now and say, oh, it was okay, it wasn't something that was groundbreaking. I was like, yo, the level of stuff that could happen inside of the game through the nemesis system was crazy. Like how you can get allies and how you can make enemies and foes and stuff. Just all of that stuff was really, really cool. It seemed like it was super simplistic, but it worked. And the only way you could get that was in those Lord of the Rings games. So I just feel like it's a missed opportunity by Ubisoft for the most part. But then I also feel like in general, like, what are we doing? It's like I was watching RTG or RGT 85 was watching his video. He's talking about the video game industry basically like just imploding on itself, like how this generation has been like, you know, for AAA development has, you know, been like kind of a boring thing. And it's also like I think a lot of people just kind of looked at this generation like, did we truly think that COVID wasn't gonna end? It's like at a certain point, that's why a lot of this is happening, because Ubisoft put so much money, not Ubisoft, WB put so much money into all of these other things that didn't pay off for them, you know, they canceled the Wonder Woman game and everything. So
all their multiplayer games have failed outside of Mortal Kombat, which is like a legacy, like it is a mainstay of the video game industry. It's been around for decades. You know, Mortal Kombat supersedes them, you know, with Midway. And that's successful because NetherRealm is very good at what they do, and the IP speaks for itself. Right. But all their other multiplayer endeavors, they keep trying to hammer in this square peg in a round hole. You don't have the studios, nor do you understand what makes live service games successful. They failed with Multiverses twice.
Yep.
Failed with Suicide Squad. Failed with Gotham Knights. Hogwarts Legacy comes out, and the guy running WB Games had the audacity to try to say, well, maybe the next one might be a live service game, before people basically told him, you idiot.
Right.
People did not buy a live service game the first time. Do not give them something that they don't want. It's pretty simple. Just make single player games, bro. You have the IP. You have the talent. Just keep doing what you've been doing.
I agree.
You don't need to ride the wave that everyone else is riding. And if you're going to do that, you need to build something that can actually like sustain it. Like this Game of Thrones game, even though it's being made by that one's being made by WB Montreal, which I don't think they have the talent to kind of make a multiplayer Game of Thrones game work. But I do think in the world of Westeros, with all the different houses, all the different factions, the wars, you could do a MMO or live service game and let someone create their own character, choose their own house, choose what kind of fighter they're going to be, and allow, like, you could make an MMO out of that I think could make a lot of sense if you do it correctly. And if you take from what has worked for the other MMOs in the past, because they're not as popular as they used to be, but you could kind of make something work. You have a popular IP, people will play it because it's Game of Thrones, and if it's good, then people will stay. So it's just like you have really popular IPs under your belt. You just keep mismanaging them, and I'm tired of seeing WB make fools of themselves and leave people unemployed due to their own mismanagement. It's just annoying to me. You know, it's annoying.
I agree with that 100%.
Anything else you want to say on this before we run into the last topic?
No, I'm good.
All right, so Forte, Forza Horizon 5.
Got a release date.
Got a release date. Showing up on that PlayStation 5, April 25th. And guess what, Forte?
What's up?
That PS5 Pro version,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to have some increased visual fidelity in that 60 frames per second mode compared to the Xbox, of course, not PC. You know, come on.
Yeah,
be reasonable, but
be reasonable
right.
here.
It's going to have race race car reflections while you're racing. And in quality mode, when you're in free roam, it will have race racing reflections. It's got basically features that you're not seeing in your Xbox Series X. So, Forte,
yeah.
How do you think Xbox gamers are going to feel knowing there's a version of the game that will look and perform better on the PlayStation console than what should be the premier console experience for an Xbox first party studio? What do you think the community's feelings are on that?
Well, the community is upset about it. I don't care because I'm smart. I'm a realist and I'm smart and I understand.
But do you not care because
I know
you've played this game? You played this game 4 years ago.
Oh no, that's part of it. I don't care because I played the game
you played
already.
it on PC, where the PlayStation version isn't going to look better than the version you can play on your 4090. Is that why you don't care?
That is what part of the reason I don't care. But the main reason I don't care, because there are different reasons to it. The real reason I don't care is because it's coming to it's coming to a new system that is more powerful than the Xbox Series X that's out currently right now. I would feel like that is stupid if you didn't take advantage of the power that was bestowed upon you when it came to that system. It's just like it's just like when Grand Theft Auto comes from console and it goes over to PC. I expect it to be better on PC because guess what? PCs have higher capabilities, better frame rates and stuff like that you can actually get out of that ecosystem. So yes, the PlayStation 5 Pro is a better system than the Xbox Series X, hands down. Overall features and everything is better on that system. But it still doesn't change the fact that I think that a lot of people are like just upset that it's better on PlayStation. But read what they're telling you. It's better on the PlayStation 5 Pro. The Xbox Series X is probably still going to run the game better than it runs on a base PS5 because it was optimized for that experience. So that's what I kind of think about when I see that. But a lot of people don't, like I said, they don't read between the lines when it comes to stuff like that, and I don't expect them to. But it is what it is. But I'm not shocked by this. I'm actually encouraged that Xbox is willing to, do something like that, because that's what they should do.
They should put their games on their rival platforms.
No, if they're going to put their games in another place where the hardware is better.
Oh, you're saying if you're going to do that, you might as well go balls to the wall.
You might as well. Why not? It's a waste if you're not doing that. It's just like, let me ask you this. My problem with the Xbox Series X was the fact that they weren't taking advantage. They were asking third party to do it for them. They weren't doing it. They ain't do it for themselves. So it's just like if it was PlayStation.
They're doing it for the PS5 though.
They're doing it for the PS5, but that's what they should have been doing the whole time. Like for their own system, they should have been doing it for anything when it comes to any platform. If there is a better version of a piece of hardware out there that you are going to have your game available on, you should be taking advantage of that ecosystem. And if you're not, you're doing that fan base or those customers. I don't even want to say fans. You're just doing that customer base a huge disservice if you're not doing it. So it definitely doesn't, I understand it, but people are inherently going to be pissed about it just due to the fact that it's on a PlayStation and the Xbox version doesn't have that same capability. But guess what? You can still play that game better in the Xbox ecosystem if you're playing on PC. So, that's kind of how you got to look at it.
Another question for you. Do you think this game is going to sell really well in April?
Yeah,
PlayStation?
I think it's going to sell pretty well. It's no racing game like that on that console when it comes to open world, track-based racing. That's not available anywhere else. So I think, is it going to?
That's more arcade than simulation based.
Exactly, right. So is it going to sell like 4, 5, 6 million? Probably not that, but I can see it crossing 1 million to 2 million over there. It's more sales than they were getting. It's more sales than they were getting on that game lately, and that should be the way that you're kind of looking at that. I think that game's going to be the best racing game on that system outside of Gran Turismo, and I even think that's a toss up because Gran Turismo is a completely different type of game.
Yeah, I think it's going to sell well. I think it'll sell well over there. I think they'll put a lot of effort in the marketing. They will talk it up. I don't expect to see Sony showing the game off at like the next State of Play or anything, or right. showing the game off on their PlayStation Twitter account, but I think that you got a bigger pool of gamers, and when you release something of this level of quality on the platform, I just think, regardless of how much older it is brand new.
Yep.
To somebody who is just in the PlayStation ecosystem, does not have an Xbox, and don't have a game that's like that. Yeah, that's a new experience for them, regardless of when it truly released. So, real quick, I forgot to do this earlier. We hit a milestone here on the channel. We finally surpassed 500 subscribers here on YouTube. Which also means we are now officially a YouTube partner. And if you've noticed, we did a change. I'll get into all that later on, because we made a change in the name of the channel to kind of like get into, we'll get into the housekeeping things later, but I just kind of want to acknowledge that. Tell y'all, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. And, super chats are open finally. So if you want to super chat, some foolishness to us, go ahead and do so if you see fit. But no, to get back to what I was saying, I think this game, again, this game is part of the reason why I feel like next year, everything they release next year, and that's going to be like Fable, that's going to be Gears, E-Day. That's going to be, what else is coming out next year? State of Decay 3. All those games that I just mentioned, all those games will be day and date on PlayStation.
They will be.
And why do I think that? Because one of the pillars of Xbox's uniqueness, their first party offering, one of the best games that they have in their portfolio is going to PlayStation. So I don't expect them. I kind of look at how they adopted things to PC. If you look at PC back then, they said it was just Quantum Break. This wasn't an indication of a change in their business strategy. We're not doing more of this. We're just testing some things out. And where did that turn into? All their games day and date on PC. Yep. But they didn't really go into the back catalog before Quantum Break to get those other games. Like Halo Guardian still isn't on PC. Halo 4, I don't think Halo 4 is on PC. I think Halo 5, it's just Halo 5.
Yep. Just
sorry, not Halo 4.
Halo 4.
No. I'm sorry. I mean, Gears. Halo 4 is in the Master Chief Collection, so yes. It is on PC.
Yes.
Gears 4, I don't believe is I do not believe is on PC.
It's only Gears 5 on PC.
Only Gears 5, and Gears 5 came out after they made that change. Yep. So unlike Sony, who has been going to PC and porting over games that were 3-4 years old, and yeah, sure, Forza is 3 or 4 years old, but this is one of the pillar games, right?
Yep.
I don't think they're going to do like Halo Infinite on or Gears 5 on PlayStation. I think like they did with going to PC, everything going forward will be over there. And that's literally everything. And the only reason why they're not doing date and date right now is that some of the games that are coming out like this year were too far into development in order for them to be able to create a port to be able to get that done. It was too far in development and they didn't want to slow down in order to make sure a port was ready.
Right.
So that's why I think that is. And we'll have to see how it turns out. I hope it does well. You know, hope it works out for them. Anything else you want to say on this before we get into the housekeeping and the outros and stuff?
No, man. First of all, I'm glad you sound way better today. Like you are back to your old ways, even though you still have a little bit of a raspiness in that voice, but you sound good, and I'm glad that you was able to make it through the entire show.
Yeah, I was not doing great this week, man. I've been sick as a dog, and I feel like I was sick. I feel like I was definitely sick with the flu like 2 weeks ago or like a week and a half ago. And I feel like I only had like a reprieve of not being sick of like 3 days before I ended up getting sick again. And it's just this one, I don't know. I may have had COVID or something. Because I was sick for like a week, and I don't, you know, I didn't get tested. And I probably should have got the COVID test just to find out, just to kind of, you know, clear it off the docket as not being one of those things that I had. But lost my voice randomly Sunday, and still ain't got it back really, you know, back to normal even now on a Friday. But yeah, unfortunately we weren't able to do the show last night because I could talk, but you could barely hear what I was saying. And so the talk for a minimum of 2 hours, probably not the best, probably wasn't going to be the best of shows. And I didn't want people kind of feeling like, you know, well, that he probably should have just took off because that was hard to listen to. So all that said, we are going to keep things rolling. If you may have noticed, the name of the channel has changed. We wanted to kind of make sure once we hit 500 subscribers and we were YouTube partners, that we then kind of like went forward with the next evolution and where the channel was going. We want to do more than just the podcast. And we were before doing the podcast back and forth on our individual channels. And then we brought it here to the DPS channel, which was the DPS podcast channel at the time. And me and Forte began talking about ideas that we had and kind of like more content that we wanted to do. I've been doing streams, you know, last year. I thought I had some really good game streams, streaming some games like Slay the Princess did really well. The Final Fantasy 7 remake streams. You know, we had some other extra content. I haven't done a lunchtime in slow mo in a long time, but it's always been something that prevents me either work or being sick, that prevents me from getting it done. But I started doing that over here, which was something I was doing on my channel before. And Forte is dropping videos again, and he's going to be dropping videos on the channel. And I mean, that last one, you know, look, we are two different men two different gamers with two different opinions. So, you know, what Forte may say, man, you know, that's Forte's opinion. I ain't gonna speak out against it. Just, you know, I may not agree, and maybe sometimes that will become a topic on the podcast. But the podcast will still be DPS podcast, but the channel is going to be DPS gaming, because we're going to do uploaded video content, we're going to do reviews from time to time. We're going to do analysis of things from time to time. And we're going to live stream games and the podcast as well. So it's all more than just the podcast. And so DPS gaming just made sense to kind of set things off on the new direction on the right foot. And you know, look forward to seeing more content coming from this channel. We appreciate everyone that has subbed, and anyone who is thinking about subbing, please do so. We would really appreciate that. Any thoughts, anything else you want to add to this, Forte?
No, man, everybody just be on the lookout for more information about things that are coming to the channel. Make sure you follow it. Like SloMo said, we're going to be working on member goals and stuff when it comes to like the names and everything. That stuff should be implemented by next week. But outside of that, guys, we really appreciate you guys helping us get to this goal and these milestones. And onward and upward is what we're going to say. And appreciate you guys, and we love doing this, guys, with you guys every week. But other than that, that's it.
All right. Forte, what you got? What do you have planned for the next week?
For the next week, well, actually, tomorrow is I'm going out to the mall with one of my friends, because there's a Pokemon Go event that's happening, so I'm going out there with him for that after work. Yes, Pokemon Go, man. Still,
oh my gosh.
Still playing it. I love it, man. Yeah. It's fun. It gets me out walking and, you know, hanging out with people.
Being active is good. You know, just be active for a better reason, I would say. But continue.
Are you serious? He said just be active for a better reason. Just be active for a better reason. You know what? Don't be a hater. Don't be a hater. Nothing wrong with oh, you know what?
Yeah, give me a minute, okay? Yeah, a better reason, man. Pokemon's terrible, but
no, it's not. Matter of fact, Pokemon Z to A got announced for Switch. For regular Switch, they haven't announced the Switch 2 version yet. But a lot of people are super excited for that.
I'm messing around with you. I did Pokemon Go when it first came out. You know, me and some co-worker. When I was in the office, we were going finding the gyms, you know, in our business park and doing that foolishness.
What was your Pokemon Go name? Because I don't think SloMoBackSlap was created yet.
I don't even know. I don't even remember. It's been so long. Oh,
you trying to say you grew? You said you trying to say you grew up or something?
I mean, I was already an adult when this happened. This is more of I got bored of it and moved on. Is what I'm saying. But no. But outside of the Pokemon Go stuff, what else you say you got going on for the rest of the week?
Got video for the DPS channel some point next week. Probably early in the week, get that going up, and then some stuff on my own channel, and then gonna finish out Avowed by the show next week, so I'll be able to we can have a good back and forth about what our thoughts were about the game after I beat it next week. So that's about it. That's my only goal, really, is to finish that game before the show next week.
Okay, cool. For myself, working on getting healthier and getting my voice back. I want to beat Mass Effect 1 as quickly as possible so I can just go ahead and do Mass Effect 2. I'm gonna stream that. I might stream some South of Midnight. I might stream some other games. We'll see how it goes. But I also wanted, like I said before, get Lunchtime with SloMo back off the ground. And start doing that more. But you know, I think you probably would have seen me do more content like that already if I wasn't like constantly getting sick. And I, you know, look, I love my kids, but it's my kids, man.
Man, those are little.
They go to school.
Petri dishes. They're petri dishes.
I know, man. They go to school and they come home with every disease known to man.
They do.
And my wife works in the hospital, and she comes home with a different set of diseases. And I'm just, my immune system is constantly fighting for its life and my life, as you know, because it's an immune system is what it's supposed to do. But yeah. So it's just, you know, it is what it is, man. You about to say something?
No, I was going to say, yeah, I remember when you were, during COVID, when your wife was having to go to work because she was an essential worker. And I was like, man, SloMo just can't catch a break. He got his wife come home. He was like, babe, did you make sure you had a mask on the whole time you were there? You ain't touched nothing, did you? Cause you gonna have to like live downstairs if that's the case.
Yeah. You know, it's not easy.
Wasn't it like
it's
a
not
point
easy
where she was locked into a whole room and you had to like sleep somewhere else because she had COVID?
Yeah, she had COVID.
That. Yeah, it was
man,
like
that was not
a whole week, 2 weeks.
That was hell, man. That was hell. Also, she was, you know, it's weird. You know, people who work with patients are themselves the worst patients in the world. Like,
the worst.
I'm trying to fix food. I'm dealing with the kids. I'm trying to get the kids to school. I'm cooking dinner. Okay, and she just, wah, yeah. This you call this food? Wah, you know, like, did you do this? Did you do that? Wah, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, you know, like,
not her.
Yeah.
Telling, not you. Not. I hope your wife don't listen to this show. She gonna put you. She gonna.
She ain't gonna do nothing. She ain't gonna do nothing.
Yeah, she gonna come.
I ain't afraid of her. I ain't afraid of her. She ain't nobody. Anyway.
Ain't nobody.
Yeah.
I remember that when you hungry.
Right. If I don't show up next week, I know what happened. You know, just like you know. But anyway, no. Yeah. It gets a bit rough, but you know, it's that time of year. You know, it's the time of year where everyone's getting sick and stuff. So. Yeah. Hopefully it passes soon and I can get back to normal. But we'll get on up out of here. A little short show, but I think we had a good time about it. Again, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. We appreciate you guys, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your the end of your week and enjoy your weekend too. Peace,
guys.